Hello, welcome to Rubbing Minds today. My name is still JJ Omojua. Today we have a creative industry special, and I have one of my favorite actresses or actors ever in the studio. Kemi, you're welcome on the show.
Thank you very much, JJ.
It's so good to have you on the show. One of my favorite parts of hosting this show is meeting my faves, and asking them questions live on air rather than just the regular conversations we have behind the scenes. And, when I found out about you in the early days, it was mostly around your stagecraft. If I had to define you in terms of is Kemi a movie person or a stage person, I'd pick stage, especially because the stage part of this craft is kind of different.
Yes.
It's unique.
Yes.
What's the story? What's the story there?
Starting my career as an actor, it was important to me to start off in theater stage because I didn't have formal training. My first degree is not in theater arts. So when I decided and I knew within me that this was what I wanted to do, for the rest of my life, I, based on research and study, I was like, look, if I go to theater, I will learn the things I didn't learn in the university. I will be very grounded. I would learn to work with my body, my voice. I would learn characterization. It was like sending myself to
So
school.
everything you've learned has been through your experiences on stage?
Well, after those 5 years, of course, I've gone for training. I've done a few workshops. And then acting for film is a different ballgame. You need some training for that. So I worked on stage for 5 straight years, which is why, in the early days, I did stage purely for 5 years. After those 5 years, I developed confidence and I was able to start going for auditions for the camera.
So I'd like to know which is more technical. I ask this question because, I've always had conversations in front of cameras.
Yes.
But I found out that hosting a live show was a completely different thing.
Yes.
About 4 weeks ago when I did the very first one ever.
Right.
So what are the technicalities? What's the difference between doing the stage thing and doing the cuts, repeats, and all that?
Right. I dare say that both media are very technical. And the techniques for both of them are very different. I don't even know if one is... there's no easier or harder one. They are just very technical. For example, for camera, the camera is your audience. The camera is a non-living thing. And you have to give a performance for the camera all the time, like it's an audience. Because when people are watching, they are responding to what you recorded a while ago. You have to remember your takes when you're doing take 1, take 2, take 3, and do the same thing consistently.
The camera doesn't give you the reaction that the audience in the stage
You have to remember your continuity. You have to remember, and then in film, you don't shoot in sequence. So you can shoot morning of day 1 today and shoot afternoon of day 1 2 weeks' time. You have to remember. So that itself is technical. Now, for stage, it starts and it finishes in 1 hour or in 2 hours. And then we're building. Stage is what you see is what you get. There's no, I'm sorry, I've come in, I forgot my line or something. So even when you forget, you have to create something on the spot.
Yeah, improvise.
You have to improvise. Then stage is, you are really dependent on your team members. You say something, you're not alone, you have to wait for
if that person misses their line, what happens to you?
And it's happened many times. You have to kill them, or you have to say something that will remind them, or you carry on and then they will remember that, oh my God, I've forgotten. Stage is also very rigorous because you spend 5 weeks, 4 weeks in rehearsal, and then the lights come on and then you have to perform. The character starts and finishes there and then, and the feedback is immediate.
It's interesting because, when I was in primary school, secondary school, university, I did a lot of stage plays.
Right.
And I used to get carried away by the audience. Like,
exactly.
If the audience is feeling me, I start to... But the thing is, how has this stagecraft, how has it helped to bring our culture to the fore?
I'll say very much. I mean, generally, even storytelling, as it were, helps us with our culture. The beautiful thing about stage is, like I said, the response is immediate. So, for example, I was in a play called Moremi the Musical over December, produced by Bolanle Austin Peters. And for many people, and many younger people, they knew nothing about the story of Moremi, nothing about the coming of age of Yoruba land and Ile-Ife. And many people were like, is this thing true? And I'm like, yes, it's true. It really happened. And what that does, you see a play, and it sparks something in you. And then you start to ask questions. And if immediately, so for example, at Terra Culture, the books and materials around Moremi were sold, which would, educate people more. So that helps people.
So the stage play helps to sell the books and materials?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Because people are transported immediately. The thing, it happens in film as well, you know, but for stage, it's immediate. You're like, oh, my God, this is what really happened. You feel it in that moment. And then it helps to just revive memories, revive culture, depending on the play that you're
Interesting.
performing.
So you were also talking about, and a lot of those people that didn't connect to the Moremu story initially are millennials. How can we make stage as cool as they are
film.
obsessed with film, you know, as sexy as film?
I know what you mean. I don't even know if stage will ever be sexy like film. But I believe in packaging plays and packaging plays for your audience. It's one of the reasons I mean, I've been producing plays now for a while, since 2013, that's 6 years. And I've come to understand that the way people go out in their numbers to see films, they also want to go out in their numbers to see plays. But we, the theatre producers, are we presenting the plays to them like a film? So, for example, in my case, I will cut a trailer for my play and put it on TV. I would put a lot of your favorite actors that you watch on screen in a play so that you want to come and see them. The razzmatazz, the PR, the glossiness, the fashion that comes with film, we put it in the play, so that you come and you're still entertained. And we don't market the play to only the artsy people. Everybody is welcome. Yeah. You know, this idea that it's only artsy people. Exclusive. No, we need
those
your
other
money.
Ones who understand
no,
it.
No. It's money. Are we not selling market?
I like
you
that.
Know?
I also like that you broke all that down, because I was thinking, like, how do we... I don't think we've squeezed the opportunities
enough.
So how do we harness the potentials? Because I've been to a couple of countries, and when I see what they do, like it's like a movie, and it's still staged. It's a musical, it's staged, but it feels like, really, how do we like bring these things here?
Honestly, fortunately or unfortunately, stage, the best of theatre cannot be experienced on its own. And the artists are not enough to handle it. So that infrastructure is necessary, support from the corporate world and government is necessary. There's something I always say, art is expensive. But art is a product that should be consumed by everybody. Therefore, it needs to be subsidized by government or the corporate world. Do you understand? So we need structure. So you see those experiences you're talking about. We need theaters that are purpose-built.
So that word subsidized is I would say it is not profitable.
I mean, not the way it should be. I mean, we're grateful for people like Bolanle Austin Peters, who has broken, you know, the jinx, for lack of a better word, of just doing arts for art's sake, by investing in that structure she has, and by producing... Now, you see, when a play runs for more than 1 week, then the play can make money. The beautiful thing about theatre is when a play runs, even as an actor, you don't want to rehearse and do a play once. You want to do it 10 times. Now then you go to sweet. You know what I mean?
And what makes that happen is the buy-in.
The buy-in, the location. You need to be able to... Now, an independent producer cannot pay for a theatre for 2 weeks. Because the mathematics don't make sense. And that's what I mean by it needs to be subsidized. Because if the National Theatre was working and we had like 3 or 4 locations like the National Theatre in Lagos, we would know that the independent producer is not going to spend so much paying for that space. It's purpose-built. We have stages that can move around. We can do all the lights and all the gymnastics. It is purpose-built. That way, a play can run for 2 weeks. Then we can start to calculate the profit. I mean, Bolanle Austin Peters does plays of 100 people. Me, I don't even have the capacity.
That's a lot in Nigeria.
To do it. Yes, it's a lot. So you can imagine, it's like a whole army. She's producing on that level and still doing her best to make profit. But then she owns her own space. She controls it. She's built a great costume. Now, for producers like me who are still up and coming and growing, I don't have the capacity yet to produce a 100-man play. We're going to get there very soon.
I think Bolanle Austin Peters is one of the reasons I'm going to miss December this year, because she makes December very, some big productions.
Yes, every year.
So not as a writer now, a producer, for an actor or actress, is it profitable for me to focus on stage plays? Can I survive on that?
If I'm going to be very honest with you, in the Nigerian industry of today, no, you can't. You cannot survive working only in stage. It's very sad.
So I can't survive. It's less glamorous.
It's like a story of doom.
Are you saying don't even try?
No. But that's the thing. As it is right now, you cannot survive by working in stage alone.
But what keeps you going? Because it doesn't look like it's one of those things that if we're looking at the things that people look for when they get in, so if glamour, if it doesn't pay money, if it brings glamour, you can trade your glamour, right, for
Yes.
advertising and the like. So
Yes.
what keeps you going? Is it a commitment to the craft?
First, of course, it's a commitment to the craft. It's also, for me as an actor, being a rounded actor is a goal for me personally. Being able to perform on all the platforms, television, film, stage, radio, whatever platform. I believe that an actor should be able to function everywhere. So for me now, running my own production company, the goal is to produce one big play a year, at least. You know, and this year I'm doing the one. You know, one big play a year, spend the rest of the year working in film and doing other things that bring money, that help build the name, take us more into people's homes, and you have to be a working actor. You have to keep working.
That sounds like a strategy that one should
Yes,
use if one is
and I'm
thinking
sharing
about
it to the world.
So the thing is, what are there risks to pay attention to when it comes to stage play?
Oh, definitely. The first risk is losing money. That's the first risk, and I've been there, done that, got a T-shirt for it, you know. And I'm at the point where, so for example, I'm producing a play right now. And I haven't produced a play this big.
We're going to talk about that. That's The Wives, right?
Yes, The Wives. I haven't produced a play this big in 3 years or 4 years because I wasn't ready to lose money. And I just told myself that if the money wasn't going to add up, I'm not going to do it on this scale. So that's a risk, losing money. Creating a product and not paying attention to your audience is another risk. Because sometimes the artists are too stuck in their art and they forget that there is a paying audience coming to watch it. So if you don't create a product that the audience wants to see, you're going to
only
lose.
you.
It's only you stuck on your artistic high. You know, that's another risk. Another risk, of course, is forgetting that it's show business.
Is there a way that, you know, parents, families can help to boost the commercial side of this thing?
Definitely. I mean, I grew up watching stage plays. You know, as a child, my father would take us to see plays. We saw plays all the time. Whenever there was a holiday, we went to the National Theatre, Unilag, Nigerian Law School, all of that. Families, of course, if you make it a point of duty to take your family or your children to see a play every time they're on holiday or once a month, it would go a long way. If schools as well, if you make it a point of duty, there are many books that the students are studying in school, and these books are many times performed on stage. A lot of the plays I studied in school, I had already watched as a child. If schools did group, you know, bookings and things for their students, it helps to them, it helps with their experiences, it helps with their education. Offices as well. There are so many other things to do with your staff. There's so many other things to do for your high-flying guests, your high-network individuals, your top officials. Take them to see a play. Book a whole theater for your team.
Because these days, the first thing that comes to mind with respect to something like that is the cinema.
Yes.
We didn't used to have a cinema culture, maybe even like 12 years ago.
Yes. But look
I can't say we really do have it now, but it's a much better. So is there something that needs to be done to make state play?
Definitely. Already Lagos State, and I must celebrate the Lagos State government.
This is the second time someone is referencing Lagos State.
Yes, the Lagos State government has been committed, even from the last dispensation, has been very committed to building the arts and the culture. And there are people on the Arts Council. There's Joke Silva there, there's Kunle Afolayan there, and there's Bolanle Austin Peters. They are on the council. And as it is, I know Bolanle Austin Peters is spearheading the project, building 6 theatres around Lagos. Those theatres will soon be open. We are all looking forward to them, so that plays can even go outside.
I think they are being built in Ikorodu,
yes, there's Ikorodu, there's Ikeja, there are all those locations. Okay. So, for example, it would be great to do a play and go around Lagos and see those plays so that everybody in those areas can go see those plays. And it wouldn't be as expensive as we are paying for some privately owned theatres.
I think people should pay for what they want to enjoy, though.
Yes, but guess what? Are you saying that the average person in Ikorodu town doesn't want to spend 5,000 or 10,000 naira on a ticket to see?
I think the average person in Lagos.
Exactly. So maybe we should make the ticket 2,000 naira. But if the producer makes it 2,000 naira, they're going to run into debt.
Yeah, it helps that. So I can understand if subsidy is defined in a certain way, not that it's fully subsidized forever, like we've subsidized for.
Exactly.
So tell us about The Wives. I've been seeing it on social media.
The Wives.
It looks like it's something one has to come for.
Yes, you have to come see it. The Wives this is the second time I'm producing this play, actually. I did the first time in 2014. And it's a play written by Professor Ahmed Yerima, who is a writer who puts women, he writes a lot about women. He tells his stories through the eyes of women. And The Wives is an entertaining play. I tell people, don't worry, it's not deep. It's not, there's no serious issue. They were not trying to, be all deep on you. No. It's a very entertaining comedy. A chief dies, a man married to 3 women, and he dies, and there is a lot of drama around how he died. And he has a first wife who has stayed with him through thick and thin. He has a second wife.
If you say the entire story, people won't come.
No, don't worry, there's nothing. He has a second wife who's cliche independent, and he has a third wife who's a dumb blonde.
What do you mean cliche independent?
She's independent. She left the marriage. Okay. She's a power woman. She's a feminist. So that's the second wife. And the third wife, she's a dumb blonde.
So what are the people are looking for to say?
So Kate Henshaw is the first wife. Shafi Bello is the second wife. And Lala Akindoju is the third wife. He has a sister who's played by Binta Ayomogaji, who's a veteran in her own right. Jide Kosoko will be playing his brother. Tonyo Shinaike is playing Babaifa. And Tope Tedela is playing Barrister Akondi.
Interesting, and that's this weekend, right?
That's
next weekend, actually.
Weekend, yes.
Interesting. So the V monologues kind of brought you to the fore, they brought you to the limelight.
Yes.
We've not heard anything about those.
No, well, the thing is, the V monologues was an adaptation of the American story, The Vagina Monologues, and it was kicked off by the Kudirat Initiative for Democracy. And like you rightly said, it was the biggest thing I did in my career at the time. I was 19 years old when I was in there. And I produced it in 2013. But the V Monologues has evolved and has metamorphosed into what many people now know to be Hereword. So Hereword is what you now know, and Hereword is another production that's, is touring the world and is moving around, but it's still talking about the same issues. Okay,
I just have to bring that in. So now for the wives, first of all, why does it keep coming back? And then secondly, your actor, your director, what should we expect on both sides?
Okay, so when you do a play and it succeeds, you do it again. And since I did The Wives in 2014, there's nowhere I go. When are you doing The Wives again? When are you doing The Wives again? People really loved it. I just say it's one of the most successful plays that I have produced. And the only reason I didn't do it was I needed the money to make sense. And I'll come around to why the money might be making sense now. But, so that's why it keeps coming back. And it's a great play to see, to just laugh and relax. So there's that. I am directing the play this time around, and I'm directing it for the first time because the time has come to direct it. The time has come to, many of those ideas I have in my head. Let's put them out there. Let's express them, My cast is pretty much the same, but this time around we have 2 new people. The other time we had Joke Silva and Ireti Olado, both of whom are unavailable at this time. So we have Binta Ayomogaji and Shafi Bello. Kate Henshaw was in it the last time. I was in it the last time. Jide Kosoko was in it the last time. So we have these new people on board. And Tope Tedela, he's new on board as well. And we're looking forward to it. I'm excited about my cast. They're hardworking.
Have you ever taken your plays outside of not even just UK or US, like other African countries?
Not yet.
I asked because Nigeria's biggest soft power is our movies and our music. So I was just wondering, like, if you took this to Kenya, it's going to be crazy.
Yes.
They're obsessed with Nigerian content, South Africa, even some countries that you wouldn't think, like Morocco, Ethiopia.
You're correct.
So are there plans for that?
I mean, we're ready to go once we have the money. If anybody's ready to fund us, we're ready to go. We're ready. The movement is our watchword.
Is there any chance of producing a feature movie after?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I already produced a short film called Fine. And actually,
Fine?
Fine, yes. It's a short film on mental health, which we'll have a little event around in October. But we premiered at the Nollywood Film Festival in Paris in June. And coincidentally, we showed in a festival in Canada on Friday. So the film is moving around. That's my first attempt producing independently. But we are working on 2 feature films, which I cannot talk about.
It's all right.
But keep your ears glued.
I've heard, I don't know, maybe it's a myth, but I've heard that some people say if you have not being part of a stage play, you are not yet an actor. Can you say something about that?
I think it's a myth, but stage is hard. It's hard because some actors are shy. You'll be amazed that some
in front of cameras
actors are shy on stage.
So if I'm shy, I cannot do stage plays?
Because some people, they freeze in front of an audience, in front of a live audience. And there's nothing you can do about it. They have to work on it. The fiercest people sometimes get in front of a live audience and they become very timid.
Wow.
And that's what makes it really, really, really hard.
Wow. Thank you so much, Lala. I can't wait to get back to you on the feature films, especially the two you didn't want to mention.
Yeah.
Thank you. See you next weekend.
Okay. Please, everybody should come and watch the play, buy tickets. And this play is brought to you courtesy of Mickey Productions and Why Nigeria.
We'll send you an invoice for that. Dear guests, we'll go on a short break. We'll be back.